Hey everybody on TikTok, it's me, Tomas. I'm with my dear friend, Sundown, who's an honorary member of the Nez Perce Indians in Oregon, and historian, and local cowboy. And we've been friends for a couple years now, and we wanted to share with you some of his knowledge of Abraham Lincoln. The last live we did on Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce. We talked about that for about 30 minutes on a live video we did about a year ago. So if you guys have any questions, I see In Search of Aliens joined us, or In Search of a Unicorn joined. Thank you for joining us, and thank you Margaret for joining us. Thank you Bobby Cruz for joining us. Nice to have you. So I'm going to let Sundown just talk a little bit about Lincoln, and then maybe we can ask him some questions, and I'll ask him some questions. Okay, go ahead, Sundown. Let's talk about our late president, Abraham Lincoln. What a great hero he was, and what a life he led.
He was a remarkable man, and people really today don't realize just how remarkable he was. His total education going to school is about a year. So most of his learning and reading and being a master of the pen and thought made him unique and fabulous president at a time when we desperately needed a good president. And he loved his children. He had 4 boys. He loved his first love of life. She was a little lady they met in, what was it? Can't think of the name of the town. It was just a little old town close to Springfield, Illinois. And he fell madly in love with her, and she died on him. And that's the way he started out his adult life at about 25, right around 25 or 30. And then, of course, he went to Springfield and started studying law, and he did that for about 20 years of his life before he became president of the United States. And he lost one son while he was living in Springfield. And then when he went to Washington, D.C., he had to practically sneak in because they were threatening his life due to the fact that there's a lot of talk about a war that was coming. And then he had to deal with that war, which was unbelievable what he dealt with, and tragedies and disappointments, and trying to get good officers that would deal with it. But the thing that fascinates me the most, when you think about it, think about the African American and not being free. Lincoln not only made them have freedom, but he also understood how important it was to us as a nation. And if we'd have ended up losing that war, the Civil War, we'd have had a divided country, and it wouldn't have been a free country.
So is it safe to say that our democracy we have today, was a lot to do with how Lincoln governed the United States?
I think, yes, there's certain things that come through pretty clearly. His writings, like the Gettysburg Address and different things, it's just unimaginable how much power it had, and at the right time when he did the Gettysburg Address, it was a horrible, horrible situation. And that helped him a great deal in completing the war after that. And it could have been completed if our army at that time would have pursued the rebels, they could have taken care of the situation, but they didn't. They let them go, and the war went on for another couple of years.
Hmm. So everybody watching right now and joining, we thank you. If you would share this with your friends and like this video so we can attract more viewers, that would be really helpful for Sundown and I on our quest to talk about Lincoln a little bit this morning here from Junction City in Oregon. So thank you, Alexander, Francisco, Norberto, for joining us. If you could like this and share it with your friends, we will move on. And I'm going to ask my dear brother Sundown a question about maybe what his favorite memory or favorite Lincoln story is. He's going to share that with us. Maybe something you guys haven't heard. And go ahead.
I think meeting Bruce Hanks, who was a relative of Abraham Lincoln, was probably one of the most incredible things to imagine. This man was the fifth generation of being related to Lincoln through his mother, Nancy Hanks, and it's just when I saw the article in the magazine, I had to go back there, and I took off. I was working at Lane Community College, and I had the summer off, so I took off and went over to his home in Anoka, Minnesota. And if you want to find out about him, you can do research through the people over there, and you'd be fascinated. And he went into schools and portrayed Abraham Lincoln and looked a great deal like Lincoln.
Really, that's incredible. And how long you stay with him?
I spent about a month with him, and he had a family. I think he had 4 children, as I remember. And he was a very, very good man. He came out to Oregon here and visited me once, and that was great fun when I lived in Eugene.
That's a great story. And once again, all of you guys joining, if you could like this video and share it with your friends so we can broaden this broadcast out a little bit. We're coming to you live from Junction City, Oregon, and our topic today is Abraham Lincoln. And me as a kid growing up, you know, my stories of Lincoln, and you know, the first thing you get when you're a little kid in this country is pennies, the little pennies, and having his picture on there, and me asking my dad and my mom and my grandparents, you know, who's the dude on the penny. So we started at a really young age learning about President Lincoln just through money. But then we get more likes. Keep those likes coming. We need them so that we can get more views. Thank you very much for that. And if anybody wants to join in with us too, and we'll add you in and ask if you want to ask some questions about Lincoln. Sundown has spent a great deal of his life collecting letters and stories and photographs and doing exhibits all around this nation on Abraham Lincoln. So he's a good person for us to talk to, and I enjoy my talks with my brother Sundown. He's also known as Sid Austin. And you'll see, I call him Sundown because he was his honorary name from the Nez Perce in Oregon. They gave to him. When was this? How many years ago?
Well, the National Museum of American Indian gifted me with its name.
Sundown. Isn't that a cool name, everybody? Sundown. Yeah. My Indian name, Sundown, is I got it from my father. It's Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that's my Indian name. So I don't know if I ever shared that with you or not.
Well, you hadn't, and I
my brother
appreciate it.
And my brother Randy, his Indian name is Badfinger.
Great.
Pretty good Indian names, I think.
You bet.
Yeah, so anybody wants to ask any questions, our topic right now will probably go for another 10, 15, 20 minutes. But if you want to join in and make it go longer, we would invite you to do so. And thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Get that out there. Keep liking this video. Send the hearts. That way we can get to a few more people out there and discuss something that I don't think is really discussed too much. And not just Abraham Lincoln, but that period of history. And I'm fortunate enough to have. Do you think all the evil politicians who have sold our nation? Do we? This guy just asked us. Let me go back here. Do you think? Here's his question. Do you think all of the evil politicians who have sold our nation should be held accountable?
Well, I can't argue with that. I think when people do crazy things, they need to be dealt with.
I think what he's asking is, you think they should, some of these people that are maybe still alive that have done horrible things to the Indians and to and also kind of perverting our history with false tales of people and stuff. Should they be tried and held accountable through prison or fines or that kind of thing?
Well, I see a great deal of sadness with the Indian people and injustices and betrayals and the way we treated them. That really troubles me personally very deeply.
Here, move towards me a little bit. So just lean into my shoulder a little bit. There you go. That you can get in there.
Okay.
So they can see it.
Okay, you can see me now, can't you, world?
Oh, you are welcome for our thoughts, and thanks for joining us. What's your name? P-Pizzle. That's an interesting Indian name, P-Pizzle. Nice to meet you. And thanks for your question. Really appreciate it. Everybody keep liking this video and sharing it with your friends so we can get a few more people on here. Our discussion today, and I don't get to spend a lot of time because I live in California and Sid lives here in Oregon, but we're talking about Abraham Lincoln. The last live we did was on Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce Indians, and we'll do another one of those another time. But right now we're talking about Lincoln. Tell us about Sundown, about some of the events that you've done over the years and how that affected people. You bringing out all your letters and pictures and different little items you collected of that era.
Well, one thing I haven't shared with you that much is my writing collection. It spanned 2 centuries, and I had ink pots or ink wells like the presidents used and famous people. John Muir, I had a cut glass, beautiful black glass inkwell with an adjustment on top for ink level that he used. And matter of fact, it was pictured in National Geographic. It's how I discovered that was the type of inkwell that he used. And my ink collection, I tried to share it, and I went to Oregon City and gave a presentation, and wouldn't you know it, they hadn't charged the batteries, and it didn't go anyplace on my collection. I had set it out in Dr. McLaughlin's home to show it off, and it was really a beautiful presentation, but that's one that didn't work for me.
Interesting. And do you still do some of these little events at libraries or city halls or community centers around this area to show off your collection and tell stories about Abraham Lincoln?
Well, I just recently did one up at up the highway here, and it went over very well on the Nez Perce in a little town up there, Brownsville.
Brownsville, that's a tiny little town.
A tiny little town, but they sure seemed to enjoy it, and I enjoyed doing it.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining, Chaz. If anybody else is joining, please like this video. Hi, Burial. Thanks for joining. Please like this video and share it with your friends. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Abraham Lincoln. I found when I was a kid, sundown when I read or our teachers taught us about Lincoln going to that theater with his wife, watching to have a nice evening at a play, and to have an assassin come out and kill him there while he's watching. I found that such a dark, poetic kind of end to a great man's life, and it really, it broke our hearts. I remember kids crying in class because the story was so sad. What happened? His life was not all just because he was president and powerful man. He had a sad life, and he had to carry that around with him. And I think it shows in the way he carried his body and his frame and the looks on his face. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Oh yes, I really agree with what you're saying, and it was so tragic, and it was probably that last thing that happened to him, going to the theater and enjoying the play and having the war over, was probably the greatest moment in his life. And then to be murdered, it just shocks you. And it shocked America. American people waited along the train track where he traveled to take him back to be buried. It touched everybody.
Yeah. The president that parallels Lincoln the most is John F. Kennedy. He was also assassinated in a really strange way in a celebration of his. I think he was. What were they doing? Going down the road that day, they were celebrating something. I can't remember what it was.
Well, they were.
It was a parade.
Pretty much, and it just one of those moments out of time. We've had so many of those. 9/11 is just one that we'll never forget.
Painful. Yeah. Well, in my opinion, we go through a lot of pain, and these are all lessons for us, and hopefully we're growing from them, and in the future we'll have a more conscious populace that doesn't produce people that do these kind of horrendous things. So that's the optimist in me. Although you look around you and it's still going on to this day. Just recently in Ecuador, one of the candidates for president was assassinated in Quito. This was just a week or two ago. So it goes on.
Never know.
You just never know. Well, we're going to wrap up this one. I think I'm going to be here for a couple more days, so we might do another one. So you guys will just keep track of us, and we might talk about the Nez Perce Indians. I probably mispronounced that. Nez Perce.
Really?
Yeah, Indians in our next live. We'll do another live, and we would really encourage you guys to, maybe if somebody wants to join in with us and talk with us, we'll add you into our discussion. And so if you're a historian yourself right now listening, go ahead and join us if you like, and we'll talk to you. But if not, we're going to sign off. We talked a little bit about Lincoln today, and I'll download this video and share it to a few other places like YouTube and Facebook and things like that, so it gets around. And it's not just a live feed; it's actually something that we did together. And today's talk and discussion was about Abraham Lincoln, and we just touched on a little bit on the surface of it. So, on the next one, we might come up with a few things we'll add. So thank you all that joined us and liked us and shared. And
thank you.
Peace, everybody.